Welcome, Doctor. You are set.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Um, let's have the slides shared.
Okay. Sorry. Just some minutes.
All right. Okay.
Sorry, you're trying to set the system. I didn't know how to share. We'll soon
Okay. Okay.
share. Mm.
All right. Okay. Kai. Hello, I've just tried to share from this end. Hello?
That's great. I think we can start
Yes, it's all right. Yes, I've
so
tried
that
to
we
share
cannot
it
keep
from
on
this.
repeating.
Thank you very
Okay,
much,
thanks.
Dr. Samani. I hope you are enjoying Hong Kong very well this morning. Thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thank
the
you.
opportunity. I'm here to start my presentation, actually, which is on healthcare management principles, theories, and applications. Um, Healthcare management, of course, is multidisciplinary and dynamic fields. Why? Because it's a field that consists of so many professionals within an organization called healthcare industry. So it's a multidisciplinary and dynamic field. It keeps changing, and it involves not only administrative considerations but also strategic decision making. Decision making can be a routine, and it can be a strategic depending on the importance or the priority or the goals is set to achieve. It also has to do with ethical governance, quality assurance, of course, and effective leadership. So the demands placed on healthcare systems continue to grow. Due to the technological advancement, things are changing the way we do our work. There's even a demographic shift. Even before you find out that the demographic, diversity of the population within the hospital is not as the same as we have now, considering the age shift and of course the skills shift. So it keeps changing. It needs innovation and high expectations in order to improve efficiency and to guide our work based on ethics, and to also ensure consideration for patient satisfaction, which is patient-centered, and also to become, which is very, very urgent in order to make a shift, to make our work, serve the patient maximally. In this presentation, we are going to talk about functions of management, which involves staffing, directing, controlling, organizing, and also the application within the healthcare context, how these functions of management can really fit into the management organizations in healthcare. We will also examine both the classical, that is the original, or a kind of all theories of administration, as well as the contemporary ones, and also to assess various leadership styles and their impact on patient outcomes, because each style of leadership may have a possible outcome as far as patient care is concerned, so as to know the right leadership style to apply, even though it all depends on situation and contingency. Application at times is very variable. So we are going to also discuss the concept of quality assurance mechanisms and how it is being applied, which has to do with clinical audits and also setting of standards of procedure in order to ensure compliance and make our work ethically sound. We will also consider the significance of motivation, communication, and of course, conflict sources and how they are being resolved. Also the diversity and inclusion, as well as strategic intelligence management, which is very, very important in order to have a competitive edge, also to make sure that you achieve your aim and goals within the parameter of competition. So we also have to consider how integration of theoretical principles with practical strategies will contribute to effective delivery of healthcare services, with the aim of improving, of course, patient satisfaction and to promote long-term organizational sustainability, because nobody wants an organization to stop abruptly. You want a sustainability based on good management principles and applications. What is this management? We've been hearing about the management. So management is basically it has to do with a dynamic process which involves planning, organizing, directing, and controlling of resources to achieve the organizational objectives. These functions are essential for ensuring smooth operation of effective decision-making and efficient resource allocation. So all these decision-making processes and resource allocation are dependent on efficient and effective planning, organizing, directing, and controlling. And it's both applicable to human resources and, of course, material resources. Human resources, people, material resources means finances, inventories, and other, tangible or things that you can be able to see and touch. So nature of management, it also operates within the constantly changing environment. Of course, the environment is never static. In fact, the dynamism of the environment even necessitates, the application and study of management within the organizations, because environments, consists of both internal and external environment. And the external environment factors are the most difficult, to manage, because they are not within the control of the manager or a professional within the organization. They come from the outside. So if it is within the inside organization, you can control it the way you can. But in terms of the external environmental factors, they are never to be controlled. But you struggle, you strive to manage them so that they count your own advantage. That's the essence of managing the external environmental factors. At times, you also do the environmental scanning in order to ensure that you make sure that you are not taking unawares, but to be proactive in the management of whatsoever may come from the external environment. So environment demands the environment demanding flexibility and adaptability and focus. You have to, be flexible in order to cope with the environment, and you have to learn, the art of and science of adaptability, because you have to adapt to the changing environment, be it technological change, be it political change, be it cultural change, be it demographic or a kind of climatic change. You have to, try to balance your own factors within the organization in order to adapt and cope with the changing environmental factors that may come from the external source. So on continuous improvement is collaborative effort involving diverse individuals and teams working towards shared goals. Multidisciplinary components of management. Yes, management consists of healthcare professionals. It also have business professionals, and it also has legal and ethical experts. So all this has to do with physicians, pharmacists, physiotherapists, medical rehabilitation therapists, etc. And of course, health information managers, of course, radiologists, those are clinician radiographers, dental therapists, all healthcare professionals. So management has a kind of diversified population as far as healthcare is concerned. That means the management here is going to be like a team management. Then we have business professionals within of course there are some that manage your accounts, your money, your finances. All these ones are also within the hospital. So we also have the legal and ethical people. The professionals ensure compliance with the regulation. We are what as far as guide on decision making to uphold ethical principle and ensure responsible management and management practices. So even here you can see there are some certain differences between legal issues and ethical issues. So healthcare organization is a unique management landscape because this is a place where you are going to apply management to serve, patients. That is based on patient-centric approach. You have to make sure that whatsoever management you are going to apply in the healthcare organization is the one that would tailor towards the satisfaction of the patient. It is the one that would tailor towards the achievement or compliance with the standard of care. It is the one that would, be based on ethically sound activities and procedures. So it also has a complex operations. Organizations healthcare organizations are really a complex organization. When you look at the nature of the professionals and the intersections of the departments across, and how authority is being decentralized, and the person having the central authority, the line of commands, the lines of communication, you really realize that healthcare environment is really challenging, and it's a very, very complex and at times even complicated environment. It's not only complex, but complicated environment. That's the reason why even when it comes to the industrial relations management, healthcare, used to become a very tough, area to cope with. And even when it comes to the issue of software development, you find out the healthcare industry software development tends to be very, very tough, and because of its nature of complexity, and of course, it needs a lot of a relationship within the organizations that will tend to be a very hard thing to achieve, with people having different background, different disciplines, different expectations, different, so it's quite difficult. So management and administrative theories in healthcare. Then as we said, we're starting with the classical theories. The classical theories are traditional scientific management and administrative management. It focus on efficiency, structure, and hierarchical control. And the father of classical theory is, of course, Frederick Taylor, which came with his theory of scientific management. We tried to make sure that there was no arbitrariness or the rule of thumb in the management of healthcare organizations. Rather, everything should be objective. It should be, in fact, he even said management is a science because it has all the necessary characteristics which a science has. Management has a procedure, it has a system, you can test, you can experiment, you can observe, which are some of the attributes of science, and management also has it. So that's what classical theories is all about. But subsequently, this classical theories was considered not to be enough, because actually there are some certain needs of behavioral components of human resource or people at work that need to be considered, not only on a scientific management basis, or the class, which also has to do only with a kind of production and considering human being as also economic being, that they only respond to economic incentives. Then the behavioral theory says, no, it's not only about that. Human beings are not only responsive to economic incentives, but rather there are some other things that need to be considered, like motivation, communication, and human relationships within the organization. They are also a critical factor in ensuring efficiency and effectiveness in organization, and also bring about morale, that is spirit of satisfaction, confidence feeling, and loyalty among the staff. So it's not only about the economic. All these things also, social components are also necessary. It's recognized, therefore, teamwork and employee morale and creating positive work environment. These are also critical in attaining productivity, not about just giving person money. So we discuss this more probably when we get through the presentations. So contemporary theories of management is also beyond even the classical theory of scientific management and behavioral theories. This systems theory is talk about that organizations are just based on system. You have to consider it a system where it has a subsystem and, of course, a total system. And this system, operates on the basis of components which interrelate with one another. You have to view the organization as a whole with each component, and each of these components is, it's interrelating with one another. So you have to view organization as a whole, and also, manage all the components and make sure that each of the components, relate with one another in terms of efficiency in order to deliver the desirable goal. But the healthcare organizations, where it's supposed to be looked holistically, not just one profession, to look at itself as one and also take care of itself alone. It has to be based on the system approach, where if all the system works efficiently and effectively and interrelate with one another harmoniously, then collectively we are going to have the attainment of the organizational goals and objectives, and of course, reach the ultimate target or aim of delivering qualitative healthcare service to the patient. So the contemporary theory, therefore, is based on the contingency theory, which is emphasizes on adaptability to the external environment. As I've mentioned, it has to do with flexibility as well, and holistic perspective. They recognize that there is no single best approach to management, and the optimal solution depends on the specific situation. So it depends on the challenges the organization presents, the external environmental factors present. So whatsoever challenge the external environmental factors present, that's the management approach to take in order to solve that particular problem. But if you stick then another different problem, so based on that, it's going to affect, the earlier plan or the budget you've done. That's why even the budget now, they used to say there should be a contingency. After you've done all your budget, then there should be another money set aside for contingency. Even in your personal budget, you need to set aside some money for contingency in case things fall or inflation affected your budget or any other thing cropped in which you were not. So then you fall into a contingency. In fact, some also create a kind of account that in case a risk falls their own budget, then they are going to recompense on that. Even the banks, they used to, write off their own bad debts at times. If so period of time has reached, people have not paid off their debt, maybe we should write it off. Yeah, that should be part of their budgets. So this is what contingency is all about. Then we have the FIO's 14 principles of management. It's also part of principles of management. Who is Fayol? Fayol happened to be a French man. His full name is Henry Fayol, and he came up with 14 principles of management. These are the most popular principles of management, because actually when you look at it, and even in your own personal endeavor at home, in your office, or in a bigger organizations, or in your unit, whenever you apply these principles, you find out that you're going to be better than you've not applied them. For instance, the one is division of labor. Even in the economics, we know the principle of division of labor is there, which tends to bring about specialization, and also it gives more productivity, because as examined by Abraham Smith, when you engage people in different parts of production, they tend to produce more than when you assign one person to do the work itself. So you find out that division of work is very important. And that's even what hospital is built upon. We have different departments: physiotherapy, audiology, speech therapy, occupational therapy units. We have health information officers, we have dental therapists, we have clinicians, we have nurses, we have pharmacists, we have medical laboratory scientists. We have all these professionals doing their own various aspects of work, which they are trained and acquired a skill on. So if collectively each one is contributing his own, collectively we're going to have a very qualitative care that will impact positively on the patient. This is just an example of a division of work. Instead for saying maybe a clinician will do the work of a physiotherapy, or will do also the work of dental therapist, or pharmacist, or medical laboratory scientist, is not going to be productive, considering that when you give everyone his own part to play based on his own skills and experience. And it also gives specialization. And when you specialize on one aspect, you find out that it's going to be better. For instance, a car, that is having a problem. If it's electric, you look for an electrician. If it is welding, you look for a welder. If it is gear, you look for a gear expert. If it is a kind of the engine itself, you look at the rail mechanic to do the work. So that's what is it. Then we have authority and responsibility. Organizations should have a final authority, someone at the top that should be able to decide on the authority. Someone should have an authority. And when you have an authority, you should have a responsibility to do that. Not that you should be given an authority, but you don't have the responsibility. So when you have authority, you should be able to be responsible for what you are giving for, and someone must be responsible for you. It's two-way. You should be responsible, and someone should also be responsible for what you ask him to do. Then discipline, principle of discipline. Every organization should have a discipline, and individuals within the organization staff should have, discipline. And discipline is nothing but respect for rules and regulations. That's what discipline is all about. At times we misuse the word, but when you say you are disciplined, that person is disciplined. That means you comply to the rules and regulations. When you say he's indisciplined, that means he doesn't comply to the rules and regulations. So discipline is nothing but compliance to the rules and regulations. So everybody should comply to the rules and regulations. It's essential. Then we have unity of command. One person is supposed to issue a directive to people, to a staff in the hospital. You should not have a multiple, directives or a multiple commands. It's like it's difficult for people to respond to different, people with different orders. Therefore, they are going to become confused and they cannot satisfy anyone, because if you satisfy this, you disobey the other one. If you disobey the other one, in the organization, you should be able to assign, you are the one to tell this person to do this. So that person will depend on that person to be receiving his orders. That's what unity of command is all about. So the next principle, number 5, is unity of direction. The organization should have one direction. One direction. You should not have a different direction. That reason why even you find out that the vision statement is just one statement. Even our research proposal, you find out that we have one aim. Then we have maybe specific objectives, but the general objective should be one thing. All our direction should focus on one particular goal. That is unity of direction. Then the next principle is subordination of individual interests. This one has to do with loyalty. It has to do with trust. It has to do with not for you to sabotage or to be disloyal or to do some certain negative underground work that will undermine the organization. Subordination of the individual interest means your own personal interests, personal enjoyment, personal wish and aspirations should be subordinated, should be secondary, considering what the organization has as an interest. So you have to, bring your interest lower and allow the organization interest to prevail. Because it's only when the organization, survives that it can be able to take care of your interest, to increase salary, to increase wage, to give you incentive, to send you for training, for whatsoever, give you a promotion. If the organization, goes down, then everything goes down. That's what the subordination of individual interest is. I think it's even ethical. In most of the ethics of profession, we find out that you should make the interest of the patient to be much more better than it should be the first focus rather than your own financial and personal interest. So that's the same thing with this one. Make your own personal interest secondary and let the interest of that organization be the high one. If it's a country, it is expected that the interest of the country should be above your own interest. I think Americans are very good at that. So then the principle of remuneration. Remuneration means compensation, means salary for the work done. So the interest of remuneration means that you should have a fair wage, fair salary, so that the staff should not be underpaid. The staff should not be underfed. You should give them a salary that should be able to serve their needs. That is, in other words, what we call a living wage. And that's what we lack. For instance, we lack a living wage. What is a living wage? Living wage is a wage that if you minus, all the school fees, the fuel, and the transport, and what you feed on, you still have some very good balance of a salary that should make you happy. Maybe plan for tourism and what have you. That's what is supposed to be a living wage. But here, often now we are struggling to have really not even a living wage, even the minimum wage that should serve our interest. So remuneration means there should be a fair pay, and that's why in the organizations, if you want to really fix a good wage, at times it's not also supposed to be arbitrary, especially if it's a private organization. You need to really consider at least good organization that pay their staff very well. Maybe you take 3 out of them, then you plus all the salaries, salary of A plus salary of B plus salary of C organization. Then you take the average, you add them and take the average. Then whatsoever you find, then you say, then therefore I shouldn't pay below this. I can even add, to make mine even better than this, but I must not go beyond the industry average. So that's what it means by remuneration, because remuneration is very important. It's very important. We come to know that even though it's not a real salary, is not a real motivation, but without it, it's also demotivates. But we'll come to discuss that. Centralization, there should be a balance between top-down decision making and delegation. That somebody should be central, to give a decision in between those two. So that's what principle of centralization is all about. It's supposed to be a boardroom meeting. You can see a chairman, a secretaries, and members. Then the next principle is scalar change. Principle of scalar change also means principle of organizational structure. That means there should be a clear line of authority which should exist within the organization. Who am I responsible to? Who is responsible to me? Who am I going to receive a communication from? Who am I supposed to communicate with? Where is the line of, a kind of roles for each person, so that there should be ambiguity in the roles, which should be a source of conflict. So this is what the scalar change is all about. Then principle of order, resources and personnel are in the right place and at the right time. So this principle of order, when you apply it to materials like tables, chairs, computers, refrigerators, aircon, it means that, or books, everything should be in its right place, and there should be a place for everything. That's what principle of order, as it applies to materials, is all about. Create a place for everything and let everything be its own proper place. Then when you are talking about human beings, then there should be a place for every staff, and every staff should be at his proper place. There should be a table, there should be a chair for him, there should be a resting room for the staff, etc. So everything, every staff should be, that's what order is all about. Otherwise, if you don't have, someone might be standing, some items might be disorganized, then there is no order. So in organization, you should ensure order. Then the next one is equity. Equity, will be manifesting in so many of our discussions, because equity is so sweet. Equity to us is even better than even equality, because when you say of equity, you are talking about fairness of access, fairness of decisions, fairness of a kind of limitations of individuals, when some people have some limitations, then you apply equity in order to make them comfortable. So fair treatment fosters loyalty and devotion among employees. So equity is kindness, is a kind of respect based on not undermining some people, maybe through nepotism or paternalism or favoritism. You allow everybody to participate, irrespective of his bad looks, irrespective of his physical challenge, irrespective of his not coming from a bigger family. You should just allow everybody to be part of the organization and apply kindness to everyone, to apply fairness. So this is very important in organizations. Then stability of tenure is about reducing turnover in order to improve organizational efficiency. Turnover in an organization is very costly. You set a hiring process, you advertise, it costs money. You ask people to come. At times, you even pay them some allowances for transportation. Then you gather so many people from so many departments in order to write exams, tests, interview for this. They eat food and everything. Then you employ staff. Then before the year ends, then the staff goes. When that's done, it affects actually the stability of the organization, and because an organization is supposed to be sustained over time. Okay. Then these are just some of organizational structure up. Then the next principle of initiative: organizations should allow people to be initiative, to apply initiative, to be innovative, to use their ideas, to come up with suggestions. You have to decentralize the decision-making process to make them, feel free to come up with a new idea on how the organization should move forward. So this is very important because it encourages employees to take initiative, which fosters innovation, and of course, at the end of the day, also brings about motivation and morale among the employee, and it will not, therefore bring about exits. People want to leave. No, it make them happy. At times, some people don't leave organization not because the organization pay well, but because they have that freedom of innovation and they are enjoying their work in that place. That's what makes them to stay there for a long time. Then esprit de corps means promoting team spirit and enhances unity and morale. The esprit de corps is about team spirit, enthusiastic, confidence feeling, and devotion and loyalty among the staff is kind of bonding. And these things, unite them geographically. Each location someone is within the organization, he's been, united through this esprit de corps, that we work for this organization, and you look at yourselves as friends, as brothers, and you always support one another, and you always have focus on doing what will, take the organization to the next level. So management in healthcare, therefore, is based on number one, patient-centric. You try to make the patient have, patients have a kind of a sense of satisfaction to make them happy with the kind of job they are receiving. So it also has to do with operational efficiency, and it has also need for financial sustainability, and of course human resource management, and also technology integration. So all these things are management requirements in healthcare organization, and all this needs management application to it, including the technology integration. How to integrate new technology into the workplace. It also needs management of human resource in terms of training, in kind of salaries and wages, the management in terms of motivation, in terms of several other components of management. So you needed the financial sustainability, not to allow the organization, to operate without some financial rules and regulations, so that the management, the organization should be sustainable. How to manage your account receivables, the money coming in, how to manage your cash, how to ensure liquidity in terms of the working capital requirements needed for the operations of the day-to-day operation of the hospital, and how to also, save some other things that may be needed. All these are needed as part of financial sustainability. Leadership styles could be the usual traditional autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. When you talk about autocratic, it's more of centralized leadership making size, which has to do with strict a kind of decision making, and it's not flexible. It doesn't allow input of other people. It has a strict control. Then when you talk of democratic, it emphasizes team spirit. It allows decentralized decision making, and it allows people to make input. It fosters creativity and higher morale. While laissez-faire, which is a French word, it means a kind of permissiveness. You allow people to do as they want, and allowing autonomy, independence, kind of thing to do is permissive. This happens more of high-tech industry, and you allow each person to use its own creativity and innovative. That is the reason why you may see that the laissez-faire may not be a good approach to leadership, but it all depends on the kind of organization you find yourself, and also the kind of people you have. So some people require autocratic handling, some people require democratic handling, some kind of professional require a kind of laissez-faire or permissive handling. And there's also transformational leadership, which infers a kind of innovation and motivates employee towards a vision, requires a strong communication and trust. Transformation, it has to do with also creation of a lot of structures, and that's why you say that this is a transformative leader, transform the organization with new structures, new ideas beyond what he has made. So we also have the transactional leadership, which has to do with clear expectation of what goals of the employees are. Then a kind of performance-based roles. As you've done your work, that's when you're gonna get incentive or higher pay. Then consequences for non-performance, that's transactional. These transactional leaders can also move you from one table to another to ensure that things are being done. That's a kind of transactional. It falls in between the hierarchy, to ensure compliance to the set rules and regulations of the organizations. It's still on the leadership. We talk about managerial grades by Greg Amortu. This is based on the context that some kind of leaders are not only autocratic or democratic or permissive or laissez-faire. Some, a kind of they are task oriented. When they come to office, all they want to see is work. They're not careful of whether the person has eaten or not, whether he has a sick wife at home, or whether something is disturbing him. All they are expecting is work. And there are some that also like the laissez-faire. They allow everything goes. They don't care whether you are working or you are not working. There are some that are concerned you work a bit and you play a bit. And there are some they are more concerned even with people that only play and they don't work. So that is the model. Then we are going to discuss how the model works. So look at it. We have impoverished leadership. That's person that is only concerned with work. That is a task manager. It doesn't have concern for the feelings of the staff. There is an impoverished. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Please, the screen just. Are you sharing it from there?
We can hear you now.
Yes. My slides has just. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I think we finished with this one. So next slide. Next. Next. Yes, this is where we are. So you can see the diagrams there. We have the high, we have the low at the side of concern for people, and we have the low and the high on concern for production. So the country club manager is having a low concern for, he has a, I mean, he has a fair concern for people and fair concern for production. That means he has like 5/5 of the ratio. Then the team manager, he has a high concern for production, and he also has a high concern for people. That means he has 9/9. The ratio is 9/9. So this is the best thing. You should have high concern for people and high concern for production. That's the best leadership style. While the circle at the center is the middle of the road. He's halfway. Okay, the one at the center is one that has half concern for people and half concern for, while the country club has only concern for people, and he doesn't have a concern for production. That's 9/1, but the one at the center is 5/5, is a break-even point. He has concern for people and has concern for production. And what about the impoverished? The impoverished, he doesn't have any concern for people and any concern for production. Then the authority compliance manager, he only has concern for production, but he doesn't have high concern. He doesn't have any concern for people. So that's how the Black and Morton managerial grade. So you can see the best is to have a high concern people and high concern for production. Next. Then the managerial grade framework, this is how it is. The one we've just mentioned. And we said the team manager is the one has concern for people and production. The middle of the road, moderate concern for both. Then tax management, high concern for production and low for people. The country club has high concern for people and low for He's just like a social man. The impoverished manager, low concern for both, as we mentioned. So next. So what's the impact of this leadership on healthcare? Of course, we're going to have a better patient outcomes. If you based on continuous improvement, setting standards and compliance, supervision, planning, organizing, directing, controlling, ultimately, we are going to have a positive impact on healthcare. That means after a very good input, then we are going to have process, then outcome, then impact, output, I mean, then outcome, then of course impact. And the positive impact would be a quality healthcare delivery. How do we measure this quality healthcare delivery? That means to borrow the model of Parasuraman, he mentioned that based on quality service, the organization will have a very good assurance, responsiveness, empathy, and tangibility. What it means by tangibility, that is going to have all the materials and components of the equipment that are needed to satisfy patients and ensure good work. Then it should show good listening. It should show also assurance, confidence building on the patients. So next, then if you don't do this, the consequences of poor leadership is of course bad service, which has its own consequences, of course. So theories of management, motivation, and other applications in healthcare. We have several motivational theories, which has to do with like the theories of motivation by Abraham Maslow. We also have X and Y theory of Douglas McGregor. We have the expectancy theory of Victor Groom. We have two-factor theory, that is the hygiene and maintenance factor, or the internal and external motivation, or intrinsic and extrinsic motivation of Frederick Hasbach. And we have several, even carrot and stick theory of motivation. So we are going to take some few to see how this motivational apply to healthcare. Of course, it enhances high performance, morale, and confidence feeling among the staff in organization. Yes, motivations contributes to that, and there is an established relationship that a kind of motivation will lead to morale, and morale will also lead to productivity. So there is a relationship. So motivation multiplied by morale, it will lead to productivity. And when we talk of productivity, it can be in a form of service or profit. So in the healthcare organization, we are talking of high service impact, where the patient will come and get the job, the work it needed, alleviate his sufferings, improve his wellness, and of course make him satisfied. So that's what the theories of motivations are likely to create. So next. So factors affecting healthcare worker motivation. Here we have work environment and condition. You see, what is going, nobody brings about salary first, because there's discussion about salary, of course.
So long hours of work, understaffing, and poor management can reduce motivation and increase burnout. People will have too much stress. So now compensation and benefits, fair wages, incentives, and healthcare benefits are essential for staff well-being. You see, they are essential for staff well-being. So there's another discussion about salary, whether it's motivation or not. There's also career development and opportunities. You know, people, if they see that they're going to have a development in their career and benefits, of course, they're going to be motivated in the kind of work they are doing. Then, of course, career development, that's what I've mentioned in terms of training, education, and clear pathways for advancement and enhanced engagement. I hope the Ray Institute and MRTV is taking a giant stride at this moment by exposing to this kind of career pathways that will advance your career and opportunities. Yeah, so something like that. So leadership and management support is also very, very motivational. That's the reason why it's often stated that management by objectives, which is a kind of management approach by enhancing, a lower level staff to come up with a proposal or idea and to discuss with it, with his manager or supervisor, and make the manager makes his own input, and for it, to be, applied in the organization is also a motivational, because it brings about recognition. It's also training, and of course, it makes the lower staff have a feeling of happiness and job satisfaction, and that will make him to put more effort. Work-life balance, also, scheduling, flexible scheduling and mental health support reduces stress and enhance productivity. So if you look at it, 90% of what we've discussed on these factors about, they are more of the things you get from the job, not really external. Here, I think it's only the compensation and benefits that happens to come, probably as a salary. But then, this conform to the principles of motivation or theory of motivation by Frederick Hasbach, where he says the motivation of a staff comes from his work, not external. That's the reason why he said even motivation, they are internal and external. But the internal motivators are what a kind of motivate a staff, and he characterized them as advancement, a kind of recognition, advancement, promotion. All these words, are from the work itself, and of course the working conditions. How is the work being done? Is it done under a very conducive atmosphere? What about the workers' hours? Is it conducive? Is there a recognition, advancement, promotion? All these ones, motivates a staff, and they are within the job. But then the external motivators, which are intrinsic motivators, according to Frederick Hasbach, they are called maintenance factors. Why maintenance factors? Because if you remove them, they will become a source of demotivation to the employee or staff. But if you leave them, they only maintain the staff, they don't tend to be motivators. And surprisingly, he even put a salary. After he put a salary, he put company policy, he put supervision. All these ones, he said they are not motivators. But if you remove them, it will still demotivate. And sometimes I tend to blame with him. If you are working and the month ends and you get a salary, that instant alert does not make someone to be more motivated. But if there is no salary, people will get worried. But when the salary comes, that will be the time some people will say they are even going to market, or they are going to bank or ATM, etc., or to start transfer of money, not really to concentrate on the job. But once someone does a job for you, he dropped the file on your table, you look at it and say, oh, that's awesome, that's beautiful, I like this job, well done. You can see how it will vibrate in his head. It makes him feel happy, and he'll continue doing that. So that's it. Next. These are strategies to enhance motivation in healthcare organization. Positive work culture, recognition programs that I've mentioned, leadership development, all these, they are within the job. Enhanced teamwork, and of course, safe work environment. I've all mentioned this, the condition of work. Then technology to reduce stress, because technology now is considered to be an aspect to reduce stress and burnout in work situation. Next. Can you hear me? Oh, yes, yeah. These are solutions to improving healthcare communication, because we know communication is the process of passing information from one person to another in order to get feedback. Communication is not complete if there is no feedback. And communication is one of the most important elements in achieving the goals of organization, because even the functions of management in terms of planning, organizing, directing, controlling, staffing, coordinating, all these depends on good communication. Because when you do applies, you must communicate. Organizing the work and the people involves communication. Directing is about communicating. Control, you have to communicate to control. You have to communicate the rules, regulation, compliance, and standards. Coordinating, involves communication, etc. So it's one of the key. In fact, even in marriage, it's said that communication is the key. It's the secret to successful marriage. Yes, when there's a good communication, actually marriage sustains for a long time. So the same thing with organization. So one is to ensure interdisciplinary meetings. This also has to do with communication. I know we have strategies for good communication, which involves good listening, good writing, good speaking, good reading. So even if someone is speaking to you, you have to listen attentively, even though you are not speaking, but it's an aspect of good communication. You have to take notes, you have to read properly, etc. These are all aspects of good communication. Then clear patient instructions, use layman terms, and providing clear instruction to enhance patient understanding and adherence. adherence to treatment plans. That means you have to use even science to explain to patients. You have to use signposts. You even have to operate a radio system within the hospital and communicate in the language which the patients will understand. It's not everybody that goes to school. So even in research, you are asked to translate your questionnaire in order to get a good informed consent. So also use of technology. You can use AI-driven alerts and standardized protocols to improve accuracy and efficiency in healthcare. The technology now allow it, to standardize your communication, to even create alerts, and what have you. For instance, I know in developed countries, you find out that even the accommodation that is offered for you, they will ask you not to smoke, because once you smoke, it will alert the fire alarm system, and it will communicate to the people, the station, the reception, that maybe fire is about to start off. So this is just a technology used to improve communication. So communication is vital for healthcare delivery, implementing standardized protocols, and providing clear patient instructions. I also encourage interdisciplinary team meetings and leverage technology through AI-driven updates as essential. These strategies enhance understanding, reduction of errors, and of course, improvement of patient outcomes, which are all over, because technology actually reduces errors and it ensures accuracy in service delivery. Next. There's one thing you can never do away with in organizations. That is conflict in healthcare organizations. Because at times, even the conflict will start from the individual. When you have a very bad mood, inconsistent, attitude, and you move to workplace with it. So it will affect your relationship with your peers and subordinates and superiors, and also affect your job. Especially now within the country, based on some certain economic situations in the country. Then there's also group conflict, which arises within the team in healthcare industry. I think we have this problem. There's a lot of group conflict. That's why even the union at times is integrated into one. For instance, Johesu, in order to increase strength and fight another people that are trying to strangulate the other professionals, because they believe that if you even stay alone, you may not have the power to fight them. So the strategy is to unite together, and so there's a group conflict. Some groups may even protest for you to get additional salary or incentives or allowances, even though it doesn't affect them. So all these conflicts are part of a group conflict. And also, conflict may be organizational, between one organization and another. And it doesn't matter, it can be between even government organizations fighting over a certain policy or a kind of privilege given. For instance, two bodies that are registered by law in Nigeria may compete with one another in order to issue maybe certification or licensing because they have some overlapping functions. So this can be, because it's also more manifest in the profit-driven organizations, companies, and multinational corporations. There's conflict about themselves. So a hierarchy and also a healthy encourages dialogue and innovation. That's what healthy way to solve or to resolve this conflict. So individual conflict is when you have even inconsistencies within your mind. At times there is time you may disagree with yourself. You are not just happy, you are not just at times someone needs to even get a mental support. Not that because he's mad, but he needs a certain mental well-being. Because actually, it's not when someone is throwing stars that he has some mental challenge, but actually, even your mind, you might be burdened. You need some people to talk with. Next. So these are the sources of conflict: competition and rivalry. You want to be like that person, but you don't know the process you went to that place. So, a kind of also competition. I must be like, so when this thing become a struggle for power, resources, or recognition, it brings about conflict. Some people may just level so a certain group of people, irrespective of their good, and they don't like it. It's more manifest in some professional groups. Now you find out, for instance, the lower professionals just hate the higher level professionals. And they are thinking that all the successes they are supposed to have in life is blocked by the higher professionals. They forgot the process those people have gone through in terms of the number of years, in terms of the sacrifices they've made, in terms of the investment in their time, training, and educational attainment. But you that are, for instance, 15 or 20 years back with them, you try to envy. For instance, you even feel if a role is given to you to perform, why not me? They will not even think that for that role to perform, there are some certain level of requirements in terms of qualification, experience, and what have you. It's not their fault. Actually, it's a human nature. So these are, of course, source of course, professional rivalry too is also a source of conflict. Doctors and nurses, and doctors, other healthcare professionals with doctors, admin staff with clinical staff. These are all struggle for power, resources, or recognition. So it's also a source of conflict. Then differing values and beliefs. First of all, it's about a communication gap, because you don't really know the values or the beliefs of the other people or persons. Then you want him to comply with your own. That reason why in some countries, even when you are going for study, they first of all want you to learn diversity and cross-cultural communication, and they try to make you adopt a standard value in their society, where every person, irrespective of his country of origin, will subscribe to those values and make him, fitting within the society. Otherwise, he will conflict and he will be having conflict. He will be talking in a rude way, etc. So it's the same thing with organizations. You try to have a common vision and mission and organizational culture, and everybody must subscribe to that organizational culture, irrespective of his location. Hello? itself with the culture of the organization. So varying perspectives on patient care or organizational priorities, is also a source of conflict. This one, even among the teams, medical teams, they do have some certain conflicts based on professional differences and perception about the situation of the patient. Also, miscommunication is a sort of conflict. That's why I said communication is a key to success in everything in life, in management, in personal life, and what have you. And some people are very bad in communication. It leads to and disputes. Also, create a role. Hello? Yeah. It all leads to stress and burnout. It's a source of conflict in healthcare. Is stressed. Is very easy for him to get angry or to refuse to do a work that may cause a conflict in the organization. Next. So ways to resolve conflict. The strategies are hello. Then parties collaborate to reach mutually beneficial solution. Then mediation, a neutral third party, mediates to facilitate resolution. Then collaboration, working together to find a win-win solution, not a win-lose solution, but win-win. That's by attaining a compromise. Then in this process, one should have a spirit of give and take. You don't have to say you must get all what you want. So the same thing with negotiation. You don't have to say you must get all what you want. That's the reason why people don't understand when the labor union go into dispute resolution with the government. Once a government makes a little offer, it's left for the union to accept the offer and probably call off the strike. They depend on other promises made by the government. So it has to be, there should be a shifting ground. So it's a strategy for conflict resolution. Next. Further conflict management approaches is avoidance, delay confrontation until when you are ready. You accommodate, also prioritizing relationship by giving in to others. If someone keep on argument, you just say, oh yeah, you are right, then you forget. Compromise, each party gives up something to reach a resolution, some certain sacrifice. Then competing, attach one position strongly used in critical situation. So that is other way. You have to, bring out stronger points, that will make you subdue the other component. So probably you win. Next. As I've mentioned, communication is very important. For you to have good communication, clear language, unambiguous, and using precise and unambiguous language, feedback and openness. Not a feedback, because you need to get a feedback. Next. Then, quality assurance in healthcare is about building trust and excellence. Quality assurance is about evaluation of the service delivery to patients. So it's a systematic approach. It ensures standards are met, and it also continuous monitoring and evaluation, so as to know that objective of patient care, and of course, mistakes are reduced, so that it will not be until at the end of the care, then it will be identified that something was wrong. So that's the essence of quality assurance. Even though the quality assurance can be done even before the patient, treatment, it can also be done within the patient care treatment, or after treatment. Next. So the best way to do, I think, backwards. Oh, okay. Maybe the person moved to the next line before this. So, okay, yeah, this is what I want to say. We have medical audit, we have physiotherapy audit, we have radiology. All these specialization can have an audit. So this is quality assurance. But what is audit? Generally, audit is a systematic analysis of the quality of patient care, including method of diagnosis, the procedures used, the resultant outcome of that patient care, the use of resources, and patient satisfaction. So all these need to be measured and analyzed and statistically produced to show how patient care has been delivered, and what was wrong, and whether the patient was satisfied or not, or whether there was wrong in the procedure or treatment, or even the use of resources. So this is all about, evaluations, which can be before, as I mentioned, or in the process of the care, or after the care. Next. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so the principles of quality assurance in healthcare, it has to be evidence-based. It has to be scientifically validated procedures. The standard of care must be validated. Yes, the standard of care must be validated, because it will be the standard of measurement using the best available evidence, probably statistics, and of course, clinical decisions, to ensure treatments and intervention are based on research and clinical guidelines. So this is important principle in order to ensure a good quality assurance in healthcare. Continuous improvement, it has to be regularly updating protocols and practices. Standard of procedures need to be updated based on the audit findings in order to correct the wrongdoings Then it has to be patient care. It's all about making the patient to be happy and to get the right treatment. And also, health services are tailored based on a standard of care and patient satisfaction. Then staff confidence, it identify if the staff handling the patient care may need some certain training as a result of the audit findings. So what's happening in the hospital setup? Audit generally is more of a kind of practice that is not punitive. Yeah, it's not based on punishment. It's more of corrective measures for people to identify. If you can see the principles here, there's nothing like sanctions or punishment attached. But what we are afraid of, as the society is changing, society is even becoming, information society, which information flows unexpected. So this information shouldn't fall in the hand of legal practitioners, because they may subject the findings of medical audits to judicial proceedings. Yeah, the proceedings, they have the right to come and demand the file of the audit done, whether it's mortality review, or it's a nursing audit, or physiotherapy audit, or clinical audit, or radiology audits, etc., and to subject it to judicial proceedings in order to establish either negligence or malpractice case, or even to ensure that the fundamental human rights of the patient has not been breached. So things are changing. Traditionally, that's what the audit was all about. But now we have to be very careful. Even the lawyers are too many. There are too many. They are too much looking for a job. So that's why we have to, be very careful. Next. Raina? Hello?
Hi.
Hear you, sir.
We can hear you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
Abin da ɗin ya yi tripping.
Hello.
Alright,
Yeah, this is where we are now. Yes, management and administrative ethics in healthcare organization. Here we have patient confidentiality, informed consent,
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Welcome back, sir.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we are with you.
Sorry for the network issue. So let me be fast because of the delay. Patient confidentiality means protecting the patient information from unauthorized access, ensuring compliance with privacy regulations. And why informed consent is referring to a consent given by the patient after prior information considering the risk, the harm, and the benefit. Alternative procedure to be adopted, and has the voluntary will to participate in the treatment, medical procedure, or even clinical trial, or just as a research participant. Then if is a management and administrative ethics, in the sense that there should be equity in the use of equipments in the hospital, in the use of drugs, and if equity in terms of access to healthcare, even the rural areas should be able to participate in the healthcare services, so that they can get the care they require without
lack of economic capacity, etc. So this is what ethics is all about. For instance, now we have issues with the use of dialysis machines, where you find out that if you are not rich, you cannot access dialysis machines. Also, certain high cost, medical diagnostics, diagnostics procedure or investigations. So all this has to do with ethics in organization. The organization needs to have a policy that will be able to come up with solutions to people that are indigent, and they want to access service. So these are part of the requirement for ethics, and also to have a kind of corporate social responsibility that is CSR, to ensure that within the community you're operating is ethical, to improve the community, to make them benefit from the services you are doing. That's the reason why you see some companies build roads, schools, and donate some drugs to people. So even if you have a smaller business or smaller clinic, or you need to take care of the community a little bit, so that at least you should impact is part of the ethics, because the essence of everything in life is to grow, is to improve the goodness of humanity, to promote humanity through the act of kindness and generosity. Next. Also, accountability and transparency is ethical, to be accountable and transparent in whatsoever you do. Be open about policies and also procedures, and ensure due process in whatsoever you are doing. You should also avoid conflict of interest. How do you avoid conflict of interest? Since you have a personal interest in, so don't be part of that decision. Don't be a party to that decision. For instance, if you are to head a meeting and even a staff of your department, for instance, you are the chairman of the meeting, which comprises of so many departments within the hospital, and you are the chairman, and in that meeting, maybe one of your staff has done wrong and is going to be investigated. So based on the conflict of interest, you should temporarily move out as the chairman, or even leave out, unless if you are there to protect the interests of the staff as a representative from the profession. That's where you stand. But if you are capable of influencing that decision, then you are not supposed to do. At times, you even have to declare your conflict of interest before you participate in that, because conflict of interest takes many forms. For instance, you are not even supposed to treat your own family, because the conflict of interest may have a negative effect. Maybe you may be sympathizing with how you maneuver, or touch the pens. You don't want them to pay the pens. If you're a doctor, instead of the normal drug, you may like to give more than the necessary dose, so that they should get well very soon, etc. So you don't want them to go for a surgery when the actual thing they're supposed to go is a surgery. So there's certain potential conflict of interest. So you should not make yourself be part of it. Next. In all these things we are talking about, managerial and administrative ethics, the pillar is in the biomedical ethics, because actually the ethics itself in healthcare, not general, but in healthcare, emanated from the Hippocrates, who, through the Latin maxim, mentioned that was premier non nocere, meaning knowingly I will not do anything harmful. And from there, all healthcare professionals drive their own, I think, ethics from the Hippocrates. It's like an elephant, where everybody go there to cut what is supposed to catch. For instance, the clinicians got their own. I'm sure the medical rehabilitation and therapies registration board professional also have most of the elements of ethics from the Hippocrates. I think the nursing profession, source their ethics from Florence Nightingale. A certain declaration she made that she promised this and this, that she pass her life in purity and contribute to welfare of the sick. So that is it. But even the health information professionals, for instance, drive their own from the professional declaration or the Hippocratic declaration, because in the very big art of the Hippocrates, there's a place where he's saying, whatsoever I see or hear in the lives of men shall never be divulged abroad. Everything shall be kept secret. And that is the foundation of confidentiality of patient information to everyone. That whatsoever you see, it doesn't have to be divulged or disseminated, except with a clear consent from the patient. And now in healthcare, it's just acceptable that the consent, even though there are of three types, express, informed, and implied, where express is just a written or verbal consent, and imply is just an assumption that consent has been given, even though not written or spoken. But the informed consent, it has both the element of writing and asking, so it combines both the oral and the written, and is explicit and straightforward, and has some certain elements of benefits to the patient, risk, alternative, discomfort, cost, voluntariness, all captured in it, and it must be signed. And it even said that if the patient is not up to Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
That's good, because another call came in. I thought maybe it's a call for me to be notified that you are not hearing me. Since you are here, let me continue. So let's just go on. I will explain it as the slide progresses. Let's go on. So the basic principles or the pillars of principle of beneficence, doing good. Anything that should be good is what you should consider. This task is very, very mighty. If nothing is good to the patient, don't do it. Your task as a professional is to do good. And goodness is not only to show expertise in your job, which you'll be licensed, and you've studied hard, and you've been certified as a professional, but you should go extra line to be kind, show acts of generosity, courtesy. I said charity, courtesy, generosity, empathy, apathy. All this should be part of your work. And we say ethics is not a law, so nobody will stand on you to do these things. It should be part of your attitude. It's part of your, routine work, and it's part of your professionalism. You should domesticate it in your heart and mind that you must always, do good. Even before you go out, set out for work from home, have that in mind, have that meditation that when you go to the hospital, you do the best you can for the patients. And I'm sure when you put that as a practice, you will see how God will also be doing good to you, because actually God likes you to be generous, to be kind, especially to the vulnerable people that are sick or aged or children. And you find out that you are getting again that is multiplied. Sources of ethics has many sources, including even religion. So you find out that most of these ethics, greatly 90% of it are from our religions, various religions, because all religions expect you to do good and to show kindness, generosity, empathy. You shouldn't be wicked. You shouldn't, you should not cheat. You should not steal. So that's how it's supposed to be. Then the next principle is non-malfeasance. That's avoiding harm. Under no circumstance should you do anything that will be harmful. Knowingly, because at times unknowingly, you may do something that will be harmful, but even that unknowingly, well, it has to be measured whether it's negligence, because how can you do something unknowingly when you are trained, you are certified, you are licensed, and yet you do something unknowingly? That means something somewhere need to be, identified. Was it really unknowingly, or it's an act of negligence? Because you are supposed to do good, not to harm. That's why even principle of non-malfeasance at times is being referred to as principle of least harm. Least what? Harm. Why least harm? Because at times you must apply some elements of harm for the good of the patient. For instance, you want to, mobilize the hand of someone that has a kind of dislocation, something you want to pray, he still feel pains. I remember a long time I was at the physiotherapy, and the physiotherapist was trying to, use the ice treatment on my, foot, which I had a missteps, and at the point in time, you are saying that we are reaching the next stage where you feel some burning sensations, on the ice place on your foot, and it was unbearable, so that was a discomfort, and that's what we are saying, that you should not harm, but at least you feel some pains, which is a bit of harm, so it's for the good. So if you're going to, you should make sure that the harm is less. Because even the paracetamol we take, it has some side effects we learned. And even water, if when you take too much water, definitely is going to harm you. It may make you, have your stomach, have some little discomfort, or you oversleep, or you cannot walk, or you have to take moderately or something like that. So you should apply least harm if you cannot, avoid the harm itself. When the harm becomes very necessary and you must do it, then it must be, in fact, you have to measure the risk. If the risk, outweigh the benefit, then probably there's tendency to stop it. This principle means that at least if you cannot do good, then do not harm. Or if you cannot do good, just leave the way it is. But, in some certain treatment, you have to, ensure that treatment is done. So that's where a professional has a dilemma, even to balance the professional requirements and also the principle of avoiding harm. You see here, ensuring procedures that are performed, providing full information for, okay, you are talking about autonomy now. Okay, about explaining the other one, but it's all right. Then principle of autonomy means principle of consideration for the individual as an entity, as an independent person, as an autonomous person, because this principle is also called principle of respect for person. So you have to respect a person because he's created as an individual. He's not created for you. He's created by God to exist and live his life and probably worship him. So he's not created but for you, for you to dictate what you should do for him, or to do what you want to do for him. Anything you want to do for him, you must get his consent, because it's not your body, it's his own body. You don't have to touch his hand to say you want to set his on, or kind of treat him, or mobilize his limbs, or what have you. He must get his consent, and usually it's that informed consent, because we respect person based on his individual nature. He has freedom for choice, freedom for action. In fact, he's even supported by the laws in the country. Yes, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, for instance, 1999, has of course elaborated some certain rights which a patient has, because a patient is part of the society, and every citizen of the society has also those rights, like the right to life, right to dignity, right to freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom of movement, freedom of association, etc. So you must not breach those rights. If you do anything without the patient consent, he can go to court and enforce his rights. Why did you do it? If you say you were trying to help him, did I ask you, did I force you to help me? So you must get his consent, because it's his body you want to help. So without consent, things may turn out wrongly. At times you find out that the consent is being signed, the consent form is being signed after the procedure has been done. That is wrong. It's before the procedure that you give the consent. And in the consent, we have also differences in the consent. I said we have the assent, which is for a minor. If someone is having like 17 years of age, then he's not supposed to give a consent, because the legal age in Nigeria says the person must be 18 years old. And in ethics, it is called emancipated minor. So what you need there is two consent: the assent of that minor, not consent, and the consent of his parents. If the parents say that thing should not be done, then you have no right to do it, even if the child said it should be done, even though he's 17 years of age. And if the child said this must be done, and the father said no, it must not be done, then you cannot do it. So the two must be done. But it's different when the child maybe is about 2 years old or 3 years old. He doesn't have the competency for consent. What influence consent are two things: competency and capacity. When you talk of competency, you are referring to the age, the legal age for someone that can give a consent. In Nigeria, if you are not 18, you cannot even own a SIM card, you cannot open a bank account. They even attempted to stop, going to university if you are not age 18 years, which is different, for instance, in the United States of America or United Kingdom, which is 16 years of age. So in Nigeria, you cannot even stand witness in court if you are not up to 18 years of age. So that's the same thing. You cannot consent for operation or medical procedure if you are not up to 18. Then your father must support. We have to take these things very, very seriously. But it's different from a child that is about 2 years or 3 years old. This one, he doesn't have the capacity to, the competency to give a consent, so the father can consent for him. But in the case of emancipated minor, that is already, they have 15, 16 years now in the university. So they can still not give consent, but they know what they want for themselves. So the parent and themselves need to consent. So that's the requirement for it. There's also people that are challenged by incapacity. So it's competency by the incapacity by physiological conditions. Some people having a stroke that they cannot even talk, they are paralyzed. So they also lack capacity to give a consent. So their next of kin should be contacted for a consent. So also a psychiatric patient, he cannot give a consent. His next of kin should give a consent. Next. Justice has to do with fairness, equality, and equity, regardless of gender, race, socioeconomic status, no partiality, no discrimination, no ethnicism, no favoritism, no paternalism, no nepotism, nothing ism that is negative in nature. You are a professional. You should be above ethnicity. You should be above religious sentiment. You should be above, in equity. You should be above, you have to treat people on the basis of equality, so that you don't have to see a patient that came a little bit late compared to the person that came much earlier, simply because he was your neighbor or a friend or a sister's son or something like that, a nephew or a cousin or whatsoever. No. Everybody is sick. So you have to treat people on an equal basis. Then, and also, you're avoiding even conflict of interest when you don't, shunt or a kind of give favoritism treatment because you are related to somebody. But the problem with equality is that if you treat everybody equally, again, you are shortchanging other people that are physically challenged, people that are blind, people that are lame, they are crippled, children, pregnant women, people in emergencies. So you need to prioritize on the basis of equity. Who needs this service first? Now, this thing played out even during the COVID-19 when it was extreme situation. This the humanity aspects of the advanced countries, they found out that because of the inadequacy or paucity of ventilators, it was rationed to the extent that if the ventilator is being used by even an elderly person that they know that you may not live, even if you survive maybe next 2, 3 years or 5 years, they may remove it and give it to a younger person. Or if a child is brought and they are not enough, they may not give to that old man, they may give it to a child because the old man have already lived it. So it's on the basis of equity again. And even telemedicine now is being used, to provide equity. See how Dr. Samani is moderating this conference actually from Hong Kong. So that is, a kind of telehealth, and that's bringing equity. For instance, you can also share his medical experience. You can even videotape the procedures going on in that part of the world and share it to Nigeria, and people can also adopt it and treat their patients. You see, so technology here is also promoting equity, just as telemedicine, promote access to healthcare and equitable access to healthcare by people of the rural areas because those facilities and infrastructure are not available. But then expertise can be used from teaching hospitals, specialized places, and now treat the patient or send the procedures to be done at that rural area for the patient to get well. So you can see how technology now promote equity. But as mentioned also, technology at times also bring a barrier to equity. For instance, the dialysis machine, I say, is very expensive for poor people to access. So if you are not rich and people are having kidney challenge, you can imagine how they can be able to access that technology based on equity. So what is needed is for a policy, fair policy in the organization. In case of this, how do indigent patients do? Then there is a policy. There should be a fund, several funds, a strategies, to attract funds that can be used, to support indigent patients that may not have money, to access healthcare services. That is part of ethics and humanity in general. Next. So the importance of these principles, ethical decision making. In all aspects of your decision making, you should be ethical. What is ethical about it? Ethics is the principle of moral behavior. It's about doing the good and not the bad. It's a principle of goodness. So you should always decide based on goodness, not wrongness. It guides healthcare professionals in making ethical decisions and addressing moral dilemmas. If you are, involved in a moral dilemma, what are you supposed to do? Then you think the positive way, the good way to do it. Balancing competing interests. You have personal interests, there are other interests that is supposed to be the good one to do. So you have to, go for the good one. You have to be compassionate, as I've mentioned, respectful, and just care. You have to show some act of charity, sympathy, respect, courtesy. You have to do things that will be beneficial. At times, you go even out your extra routine work. If you see an elderly person moving in the hospital with difficulty, you have to give him a supporting hand, to reach or to stand and carefully explain to a patient a direction to a place he wants to go. Or you try to link him up with one of the hospital staff that was going that way, that this person is going to that direction, please help, because of his condition. And to also prioritize on the basis of equity who need your service first. And at times you can even buy some extra drugs or extra ointments or extra device that may help a patient, and just have it in mind that this one is for charity. Yeah, this is what is being sold in the hospital. Oh, but I don't know, have the money. I'm even looking for a food to eat. You say, oh, I have one extra, I can dash it to you. Your mind, you feel happy, not because you have too much, but actually because you are supporting a cause, you are supporting humanity, and you are a professional. You should have a sense of charity, and that's what some advanced countries have, which we are lucky. You find several streets, they all belong to a charity shops. People will just get salary, and the first thing they will do before they start spending that salary is to go and buy laptops, shoes, new shirts, and donate it to the charity shops. And these shops will sell it at a discount rate, and the proceeds, they will support Heart Foundation, elderly people, children, disabled, blind. You see a lot of them. You count up to 30 charity shops in one street and in every town. And these things are not even to be supported in their countries because their social system has already budgeted for those. All these charities for other developing countries. So we can do that ourselves. Is part of our religion to be kind. Then we have compassionate and respectful care, as we've said. The next. These are some dilemmas during a pandemic. Deciding which patient receive a scarce resource like ventilators. I've mentioned that. It's a dilemma. Should it be an old person or a child or a teenage person? Should it be a woman or a man? Should it be a pregnant woman? This is a moral dilemma, and they will apply a lot of, ethical thinking, rational thinking, in order to arrive at it. That's the reason why sources of ethics are many. Philosophy is one of it. Religion is one of it. Hippocratic code of conduct, etc. United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, the law, the Constitution, all they are sources of ethics. So they will now think rationally, debate on a moral. Then they will now decide that let's give it to the children, or let's give it to a pregnant woman, because that pregnant woman that is maybe 8-year pregnant or 9-year pregnant, when we save her, it's like we are going to save two people. We are going to save the baby, and at the same time, save the woman to take care of the baby. That means the child will lose out, and the old person will lose out. But some people will even say, what about if after saving the child, maybe the mother died? Who is going to take care of the child? So the child is going to be an orphan, and it's going to be a problem to the society. So let's just give it to the one that is already alive. So all these moral dilemmas, are part of ethical considerations. And look at the end of care, balancing patient's autonomy, his right for independence and choice of action to refuse treatment with the physician's duty to alleviate suffering and to sustain life. So which one is going to be? But even in the law, when you have the right to your life, that is a right for someone not to kill you, not to harm you, that will end up your life. But you don't have the right to also kill yourself. For instance, in Nigeria, it's a crime to commit a suicide. For those jumping into the lagoon, if the person jumped into the lagoon and he died, that's the end of the case. But if before jumping, some people rushed and hauled him and brought him safe, except if he's a madman, otherwise he's going to face a court, and he may be jailed for criminal action for trying to kill himself. You are not supposed to kill yourself. Even in religion, if someone kills himself, he's going straight to hellfire, because the life does not belong to you. The life belongs to God Almighty. And
is given to you as a trust to live your life very well, as you are supposed to do, doing the right on earth and promoting goodness and kindness and worshiping God, then when you go back, then God will reward you for the good job you've done based on the exam he has given you, and to look at whether you passed the test or you not passed the test. But nobody say you should come and kill yourself or to kill somebody else. So all these are, ethical dilemmas. When we talk of confidentiality again, confidentiality while discussing information to others, such as family members or other healthcare providers when necessary. It's a moral dilemma. Let's take example of a doctor that has treated a patient with epilepsy, and that patient happens to be a trained driver. So should the doctor just treat the trained driver, allow him to return to work? No, I think there should be a procedure where the hospital should communicate to the employers that this trained driver is also diagnosed with epilepsy, and if care is not taken one day, when the something strike, he's going to kill thousands of people. But then the hospital is ethically bound to, suggest to the hospital that this ailment is not, for instance, infectious. It cannot be spread, so he can also be transferred to another kind of work. They can even suggest the work that will be fitting for an epileptic patient, and with close monitoring and motivation, monitoring and supervision. He might even be, be placed in a work closer to a facility where he can be quickly rushed, to be kind of resuscitated when that thing, strikes. So that is it. Or a person that came to a doctor and he was confessing to the doctor that he was shot while committing armed banditry or kidnapping or whatsoever. So the doctor now has a moral dilemma, either to tell the police or the hospital or to keep the confidentiality of the patient. Because if he keeps the confidentiality, therefore he might be an accessory to crime. But if you also reveal that means he has violated the confidence which the patient has given to him. And if patient confidences are being violated, patient will not be giving, will not be confiding in their professional care professionals, and the healthcare professionals are supposed to be known. So all these are ethical dilemma. I know probably a question might come later on this. Next. Equitable access I've mentioned. Let's make healthcare delivery be accessible equitably, irrespective of your income level or socioeconomic background, or whether you are from the low resource community. Let there be policies of equitable access that will allow inclusion rather than exclusion. And when we have, some people are of the opinion that some problems that we are having in this country is as a result of some exclusion policy. When you have an inclusion policy where all people are taken into consideration in budgeting, in planning in this country, in job sharing, in what have you, you will find out that the society will be better than the way it is. Like me now, I feel that if I should have a position of power, I will make equity as my basis of policy. Equity in everything. When I'm going to do budget, there should be proportion for women, for youth, for the elderly people, for the pregnant, and I will make sure that this thing is judiciously implemented. And I should make sure that job opportunities are not, sidelined for only few people in power or politicians or whatsoever. But then it should be generalized for all people, and it should be competed upon. Even those that doesn't have the capacity to get, because everything must not be on the basis of equality, that is only person that scored the highest, something should get. Then those people should have a place where even if it should be hard work for them to develop, because everything, you can find someone that is very good in book, but he's not good in innovation. And some people that doesn't even know book, you find out that they are good in innovation. You find someone with first class taking his mobile phone to someone that did not go to school to repair it, or laptop.
So this intelligence is spread in individuals, and everybody has his own gift which God has given to him. I'm telling you, if we have this policy of people that you know, are in the informal basis and they are, you know, repairing this and that in the roadside and what have you, and we package it very well, we can even sell it to the international community and earn dollars. We can even invite people to come from other countries to even land that trend and earn dollars. But because that's not our so equity is very good. Then cultural sensitivity is also an inclusion. When you want to do everything, you have to have that cultural sensitivity. You have to align with the people. Everything, your policy, there should be cultural consideration in it, so that it should be acceptable and it should also respect the people. Then we also have language accessibility. If there is language can be a barrier, of course. You know, some of our people are not cannot read English. For instance, one might be surprised that in some places, even where we feel that it is highbrow areas, you know, urban area, you find out that you need to even include translation in what you're supposed to do. If you want to do a research in Abuja sub-Alps, you better do it in a language that the people will understand. If you want to do a research in Lagos, I'm telling you, you better translate that questionnaire into Yoruba language. And the same thing if you want to do the research in Kano, if you want to get the best from the community, you translate that questionnaire to the local language so that they will understand you better. Or there's even the what they call Ajami, it's Arabic kind of thing, but it's in the language of the local community, but in Arabic alphabet. So you find out it. So you have to ensure that language is, if you want to see a patient, and usually before they used to keep an interpreter, which the doctor will be coming. If he doesn't understand Hausa, then the interpreter will be explaining to the doctor what's the problem that patient. The same thing when you come to antenatal, you find that some people are interpreting, you know, in the local language for those coming to those clinic in order for you to have the best. Then representation in leadership is also a part of a kind of inclusion. That's what we need in this country. We need a proportion of the youth in leadership. Well, even though the youth are they really even ready? I'm not sure, but we need to have it. We need to have a representation of women. We need to have a representation of the physically challenged in governance. I learned that in the Nigerian Senate, for instance, there are only 4 women out of 109 senators. So, but even the women, are they ready to be there? When it comes to election, the women don't vote for their own. So, because the women are thought to be even the highest in terms of population, they are more in population than the men. So, if they want to have governance in this country, they can have it. So, the youth also need to be included, as I've mentioned, because statistics have shown that the youths are more in terms of population in this country, especially age between 15 to 25 years. They form nearly about 60% of the population of this country. So every policy of this country, or every policy in the healthcare, you know, in terms of the equipment, you know, should be more in terms of the number of the patients generated from the health information. And this should be targeted in terms of budgeting, in terms of building of infrastructure, you know, based on the responsive feedback based on evidence-based statistics that, you know, has been obtained, you know, to serve as a basis for the management of healthcare. Next. So ethical audits, you know, used to ensure compliance in healthcare, as mentioned before, to ensure the standards are being complied with. Next. So this audits
I think with this repetition. Then next, we've done the clinical audits, which we said comprises physiotherapy audit, radiology audit, etc. And we have the nursing audit. We also have a kind of compliance audits, which has to do with compliance with the statutory regulations in terms of maybe accreditation bodies. They can come and accredit and assess and monitor and evaluate whether the organization has complied with the set guidelines and standards they are meant to comply. I think most of the regulatory bodies need to perfect this. They need improvement on this. It's not just about issues of license, but what about the checklist, the monitoring, and the evaluation of the service that are going on in the various hospitals and clinics? That will go in a long way towards quality improvement of the healthcare. So we also have operational audits and compliance audits. Next. The IT audits has to do with also regulatory compliance with IT requirements. Things are going on now, improvements in the IT. Even, there's even a bill that is called Data Protection Agency, which even try to, sort of monitor all the IT infrastructures in the country. And the role is to ensure that they complied with the requirements. There's a lot of requirements for IT in order to maintain personal information of individuals, not only patients. So that's the reason why there's even a conflict of interest, because this agency now tries to maintain personal information and financial information of the organization and ensure they are in check, not only healthcare information. So they are available, and they have an act which established them. They can check incidents reporting, and they can check the vulnerability of the systems for cyber attacks. All these are part of what information technology audit is all about. How vulnerable is your system? How even easy use of that technology? And how current or relevant? Or what about the software even you are using? If it is computers, are they from the right source? It's even a crime to buy a pirated software rather than licensed software because of the patent or intellectual property rights, of those companies that produce that softwares. So all this has to do with audit of the IT. Then we have research audits to make sure that the research conform to the integrity and compliance requirements, ensuring clinical trials follow ethical guidelines. This is monitored by ethical committees as well in the hospitals. And this ethical committee also has a structure. It has the National Health Research Ethics Committee. Under it, that is where you have the local research, various hospitals, and of course the university, and also that the state government their own research committees, because the reason why federal government has its own and state has its own because of the concurrent nature of health in the Constitution of Nigeria, that every state government has the right on the hospital, just as the government to also federal government has the right to establish its hospital. So that's the reason why we have all this duplication of audits, because I even realized that state government, there's duplication as a teaching hospital. You find out the teaching hospital of the state, that's the state owned, is also having a local research ethics committee. And the Ministry of Health is also having a research ethics committee. And each one out research approval. And the one for the military, they don't even meet per se to get to the protocol and see the risk benefit, voluntariness, benefit, kind of non-malfeasance in the proposal. Just declare as much to pay the money, but the hospital have that committee and they look at it. Next. So audit will be prospective, be retrospective, and also be concurrent. Yeah, talk of the prospective audit is timing for how do we okay, we need the standard of care above, especially best. We need to also get side of topic and of the audit, prospective audit. That's prospective audit, the future of audit. Then the concurrent audit that is being done even before the patient. The patient already in the ward, clinic, and then you can do it. Maybe in or you also give a questionnaire that will ask him question based on the definition of the audit. What is the treatment like? What is the procedure like? What is the satisfaction like? Do you use the resources? You can also, that means you can adapt or adopt the questionnaire or the question so that you get the most of the information you need and you analyze at the end of the day. Then your decision will be an informed and evidence-based decision that will improve the quality of care and patient outcome. Then retrospective audit has to do with already patients that have came to the hospital. Then you need to evaluate their previous discharge records and information, and based on the standard of care, we make a comparison and find out if there is something that was omitted in the process of care and what was the outcome of care, so that you analyze and you now correct the wrongdoing so that improvement of outcome can be attained. Next. So importance of audit is it improves patient care. You all agree with that? It promotes accountability. We don't have to say much about that. It's straightforward. It enhances patient safety. Of course, it reduces error and optimizes resource allocation. So that's it, because you've identified wrongs. So, improvement is certain. Then it also reduces error and, of course, promotes safety. And it of course, promotes patient care. It improves and it ensures accountability, because audit itself is accountability, that you have to be responsible for your action and you have to ensure good responsibility as a professional. Next. Why is these audits are important? You're going to have a very clean records for accreditation and certification. When you meet the standard, of course, the regulatory or certification agency is going to give you the claim bill to continue. And it also reduces medical errors, because things cannot continue going without evaluation. If people know that they will be accountable and responsible for their action, then they will put in more of their effort and do the good thing they are supposed to do. So it reduces medical errors, and medical errors can be dangerous to patients, because this is not a biscuit industry where if errors occurs, then the biscuit will just be dumped into the dustbin or be given to some people that need it to eat free of charge. In a hospital, when the medical errors is going to damage the patient, and it may even end up claiming his life. So that's the reason why audits are necessary, in order to check up that things are being done properly, because we have to respect human beings. It also fosters continuous improvement. You keep on improving, you keep on improving. So last time we found this problem, we must improve it. You have to reduce the factors that affect the patient care negatively. Then you also improves clinical governance. It ensures that all the policies, guidelines, regulations are being followed efficiently and effectively for the benefit of the patient, and that will improve the job satisfaction. That will improve the patient satisfaction as far as services is concerned. So if patient satisfaction are improved, definitely the patient will become a client, a good client for that healthcare institution. He will also be a brand, ambassador, to express how good that organization is. But if he is not happy, he can complain to other people, and he can damage the reputation of that hospital. It may also lead to a kind of medical issues. Next. So all these are cornerstone of patient care. As we said, it enhances patient satisfaction. It supports research and development. Because from what you found as an error of view, it can be a source of research, and it can also bring a development in that aspects, because it provides valuable data that inform future innovation and practices in healthcare based on the gap, that has been identified in the audits. Next. So audit, if embraced in healthcare organization, can promote a culture of improvement. High quality patient care services will be delivered. This will help to elevate or standardize patient outcomes. It can strengthen trust, as I've mentioned, and accountability across the healthcare system. And people who have some sense of reliability and, of course, positive perception about the hospital, because what is expected is for a patient to have a positive perception because of the services he has received, and his expectation now need to be evaluated for it to have a positive perception. So it's a positive perception that is needed so that that culture of quality can be attributed to the hospital or healthcare organization or clinic. Next. So strategic intelligence management in healthcare organization. Healthcare organization need to have a mechanism of gathering information both from within and from outside the hospital, within, sensitive areas of service delivery. Let the institution has those information beforehand in order to control and improve outcome. It also needs to have information from outside in relation to what the other hospitals are doing so that they can also improve. That information gathering is what is called competitive strategic intelligence or competitive intelligence, or even corporate strategy, because it needs, to strategically position the organization, in an advantage position, to be able to outwit others in terms of competition. This is very important because if you are lower in standards compared to other people, you will find out that the reputation of the hospital will go down, and people will even run away from the clinic or hospital to the other people that are far better. So you have to check your technology. You have to check most of things so that you should not be a technologically poor organizations. You have to check the quality services in terms of tangibles, air conditioners, dispensers, or whatever you, all these ones that will comfort a patient. Don't take it for granted, because some people even are from a certain target of the population. You will refuse to come to that clinic or hospital because of lack of comfort. imagine a pregnant woman that wants to deliver. Certainly, she will expect the labor room to have a very powerful air conditioner. You know, so at least it can help on some other things. For instance, I knew of a hospital where a lady was giving birth at, and because of the poor air condition of that labor ward, she asked her husband to donate a full brand air condition in that labor ward, so as to support other people coming, because it was, you know, a difficult situation. Next. So as I've mentioned, it's competitive intelligence, it's strategic intelligence. It has decision making by providing evidence-based insights, enhancing patient care and safety, and analyzing patient data to improve treatment protocols and reduce readmissions. All these are dependent on the information you've obtained beforehand. It also resource allocation and cost management. It optimizes the use of staff, equipment, and finances to improve efficiency and crisis and risk. All this depends on information you've gathered. Next. So what are the challenges in ensuring strategic intelligence management? One, data overload and complexity. You know, there is a lot of information, especially in the teaching hospital, which we said is complex and complicated. So there's a lot of information. So which one is to be used? That's the reason why you have to even do some softwares, and that's what brings about the concept of data analytics. Now you use some software in order to extract the particular data you need in order to base your decision. Then a solution, that's why the solution to it is AI-driven analytics tool for efficient data processing that will help you to, you know, extract a particular information from that big data. So cybersecurity is also a challenge, and data privacy risks, because vulnerability of digital health records. Then the solution now is to implement strong cybersecurity measures like encryption. In fact, beyond encryption, you can even apply biometrics. You can apply a kind of keyword dynamics, even by the pattern which you type a keyboard. That's what will provide access. You can use voice recognition. You can use unique identifier in order to improve the cybersecurity, because cybersecurity now is a growing field, because people can be talking of technology. You don't know that it's like you are using a funnel. You are putting the water and it's draining outside, because some people are benefiting from what you are doing. That's the reason why we also have the concept of medical identity theft, you know, in healthcare, where some people would just steal the identity of people and use it for another aspects. So we have to be very careful. Another challenge is resistance to change. People don't like change based on habit, fear of losing position. All this can, you know, make a kind of become a hindrance to strategic intelligence management. And solution is you have to train and you have to build confidence on the people about the need for this information and data gathering. Then you also have a compliance issues, frequent changes in healthcare laws, etc. So need to be monitored and to make sure that the team knows that there are changes in those areas, because when you get that information, it's better for you in the organization so that you not be operating on the wrong footing. There's a lot of things that have changed. Who knows now there's a Data Protection Act in Nigeria? Who knows that
before you implement any IT projects in Nigeria, as far as organization is concerned, you have to get a clearance from the NIDA, National Information Technology Development Agency. But because the trouble does not arise, that's why things are moving the way it is. Is when trouble comes, something happens and it reaches a court, that's when all these laws now will be reviewed and it will be interpreted to people as the way it has been meant, to be interpreted. Laws are being developed to be broken. But if you broke a law and nobody takes you to court, it keep on lying. So even if you commit a malpractice or negligence and nobody takes that matter to court, then nothing happens to you. But by the time the matter gets to the court, that's when you know that you've done the wrong thing. You even know, in fact, it's a serious business. Let's think of the people that try to save their daughter through kidney donation, and they got a kidney donor and they moved to London in order to perfect that something. I don't know whether they were not even aware that they were breaking the law of those countries, and now they are now languishing in jail despite their VIP position. So a lot of things like that need to be given a serious consideration. Next. AI and big data analytics mentioned, and there are strategies in order to help you manage big data, and generate data as an intelligence for your decision making. Then centralized intelligence unit also is establish a department or unit to monitor trends in the environment so that you take opportunity proactively in order to outwit or outcompete your rivals. Then you also have interdisciplinary collaboration. That is also a strategy, a memorandum of understanding from other institutions to an interdisciplinary collaboration so that you bring a brain power in order to solve some certain problems. Cybersecurity and data protection is very, very essential. Very, very essential. We are not even talking about it. You have to apply administrative safeguards, technical safeguards, and physical safeguards. Administrative safeguard, you have to get some rules and regulations that should guide your ITs and technology. You should also have technical in terms of antivirus, firewalls, encryption, strong passwords, biometrics. You also need physical safeguards. You make sure that you log the place very well. You dust off your computer systems. You make fit your sockets and electric faults to prevent sparks. You also need to have a good air conditioner system because the system like to work in a very good atmospheric condition to reduce overheating and some certain things. Next. Organizational culture is very good. Your organization must have a culture so that when people come to that organization or healthcare or clinic, they know the kind of culture of everybody in that organization. Maybe a culture of kindness, a culture of efficiency, a culture of responsibility, a respect, a courtesy. Everybody works like that. So that's what organizational culture is all about. You need a core values and ethical principles in your organization or clinics. You also need leadership and management style. We mentioned about the types of leadership. And I think the best one is to have a kind of 9-9, high concern for people and high concern for work, so that you take into consideration the problems and emotions and worries of your staff. At the same time, you task them to do what they are supposed to do, and you give them the opportunity to contribute, and you decentralize decision making, make them also become motivated and have a high spirit and confidence feeling with high morale in order to make sure that they improve in their productivity in terms of service delivery. Then you also need to have employee engagement and a workplace morale, as we mentioned. Allow him to participate. Let him have a morale. Let him have a confidence feeling, a feeling of devotion, loyalty will come in. Then you also have a patient-centric approach,
where the patient is the key, is the only not the key, is the king. You make him be happy with the services he receives, and every of your work should be centered on the patient. In fact, that's why we went to school. You know, all what we studied is for us to make sure that we've done the best for the patient. And when we are employed, we are being employed to work for the patient, we are being paid for working for the patient. So let's work very well for the patient. After all, what is worth doing is worth doing well. Next. Strategies to foster positive culture of the organization. You should have strong leadership commitment. You should have also employee engagement in the programs I've mentioned. You have continuous training. You should have open communication. You should have prioritizing patients, centered care, and ethical policies. You see, all these things are things that we've explained. So when you have this, you are going to have a positive organizational culture. Some organizational cultures may involve also mission. You should have a common mission which everybody will understand in the organization. There should be also consistency. You should be consistent on what you want to achieve. You should have involvement, as mentioned here. You should involve people. And you should have a culture of adaptability that is changing to the, moving to the changes in the environment, because environment is never static. Environment is dynamic. As we are talking now, a lot of new things are coming into this world, which may affect our work. And therefore, we need to, change. We need to adapt to the changing environments. Next. Then, we should have initiatives and, of course, ethical policies. All these one we've mentioned before. Equity, conflict of interest, equality, justice, beneficence, non-maleficence, autonomy, etc. All these ones need to be ethical policies that will, something that will be based on goodness, not badness, something that will be based on rightness, not wrongness, something that will challenge our morality to see that, yeah, we are morally doing what we are supposed to do, something that will make us feel we've done something worldwide, something that we should be commended upon, something that will justify in our heart and make us feel happy that at least we've done the best we could. So that's part of the ethical policy, what complying with. Next. So the intelligence and culture can be integrated. If integrated, can shape the values and behaviors and necessary on those insights. When integrated, these elements create a powerful force for improvement. When you integrate strategy, intelligence about gathering information, and you also mix it with the positive culture of organization, wow, it's going to be good. This will help to improve, patient outcomes. Next. In conclusion, the principles, theories, and application of healthcare management from the of effective healthcare delivery, staff coordination, and patient safety within modern healthcare system is what we've all discussed. And throughout this presentation, we have observed that healthcare management is not confined to administrative processes alone. Rather, it encompasses a holistic approach that integrates ethical responsibility, leadership competence, strategic intelligence, and evidence-based quality assurance in order to improve patient outcome, patient satisfaction, and enhance the quality improvement requirements of healthcare. The effective healthcare management involves more than achieving operational goals. It requires cultivating a culture of empathy, equity, and excellence. The roles of healthcare professionals, business experts, and ethical leaders are interdependent and essential in navigating the complex realities of patient care. The dynamic interplay between organizational culture, employee motivation, leadership style, and communication strongly influencing the quality of care of professionals and give them satisfaction and improve the patient outcomes. So this is what we have actually discussed, and now is coming at the right time, because we are heading to 1 p.m. Probably we need a break. Then from the moderator, he may guide us and maybe come back for a question, or I don't know whether it's now that the question is going to take place, or we talked about ways to reduce stress and burnout, which requires people to exercise and people to refresh, people to use technology in order to ease the work, and as well as to break a bigger task into a smaller one. I think when we take a break, it's like breaking a bigger task into a smaller one, and we can also refresh and exercise, then and much more. So, but at this juncture, I'm going to hand over to our moderator, Dr. Jibril Samani. I don't know whether at his end in Hong Kong it is evening or night or morning, but here is a very pleasant afternoon, and we are heading to 1 p.m. So over to you, Dr. Jibril. Hello. Next slide before Dr. Jibril comes in, or the moderator. Next slide. This is the ending part of the conclusion. You can read it. You can read it. Let us be interactive. You can read the remaining parts of the conclusion. So that will be interactive too. Next. Thank you for your attention. So, Dr. Jibril, over to you. Hello.
He's joining now.
Hello, thank you so much, Doctor, for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
We need to take some break. Oh,
Yes.
Completely. Okay.
Thanks, but I suggest we take a break.
Okay. How many minutes?
I can be ready at any point I'm asked to come back. Yeah.
Okay. Can we take like 20 to 30 minutes? It's okay?
Yeah,
Are we
that means
okay?
1:30.
Yes, like 1:30.
It's all right then. It's all right.
Okay, see you in one. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm back. Welcome back. Hello, is the moderator available? I'm very much present. Hello.
Welcome back, Doctor. I think we are already 5 minutes behind. We can continue.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you. So looking forward for some questions based on the presentations which I have delivered. So over to you, Dr. Samani.
Okay, so the floor is now open for questions, comments. You can unmute to speak, or you can write in the chat box, either in the Zoom or in the YouTube. Okay. Questions, comments are welcome. No question, no comment.
You can write in the chat box comments or contribution or questions.
Maybe some people are not on the.
You can speak or write in the chat box if you have any question. Only that I saw one comment actually before we went on break. There was one chart in the box about the non-inclusion of other Black people in the slides. So we take this subsequently when presenting. Actually, the slides should include also Black people in the in the slides. Or they are just for
Not
the purpose
only
of
white.
not only whites. Yeah, it's going to have inclusivity and yes, and diversity.
Somebody want to speak? Deborah? Okay, he's not speaking again. So I think, Dr. Umar, you can just give us a concluding remark, then we can close for today, since we don't have questions.
Management is a necessity. Wherever place we find, we must apply management principles and techniques. So even simple moving equipment
from one place to another actually require management. And when you apply management, of course, there's going to be more improvement in the outcome of the patient care. So we need to take it very seriously to learn the art and science and the techniques and strategies of managing our units, our specialties, our departments, our clinics, our hospitals. And leadership styles also is very, very imperative. So we need to really imbibe the techniques of leadership and to know the kind of leadership styles we are going to apply in our respective domains, because each leadership style, require a kind of situation for it to be applied. So you need to understand the kind of place you are and the types of leadership that fit into that situation. And we also have to, improve on our teams collaboration, because hospital works in teams and it's a multidisciplinary area. So you need to improve on communication and to make sure within the team you are able to assert your role as time as your objectives of your profession, and of course what you tend to achieve in the departments. So to make sure that you have an upper hand, I will also need to apply some certain ethics in our conduct, so that whatsoever we do it in the right way, in the good way, not in the bad way, so that at least we work ethically and we also consider some administrative and managerial ethics. I dwell on ethics mostly that affects healthcare organization, but even in civil service, there are additional ethical conduct and requirements, which has to do with punctuality, discipline, loyalty, efficiency, tact, industry, etc. So all these need to be added as far as work is concerned, so that we should work as expected. And we know that we cannot be working without evaluation of the work, especially in healthcare, in a patient-driven environment. So we need to evaluate based on audits. We need to check what we've done so far, and we know we can do these audits in various perspectives, either when the patient is available in the hospital after discharge, or even when we are planning to do the audits. So we need to really encourage that, so as to improve the outcome of care and to correct our wrongs each time. So we talked about also the principle of ethics, which we said should be beneficent, non-maleficence, justice, autonomy. So always have that in mind. In fact, if you are going to work each day, always think of these principles. Well, there's even some criticisms, but the criticism is not that negative compared to the basic principles. Some people say, why people at times do not apply this basic principle of ethics because of the circumstances they found themselves. Probably they had a bad experience, or maybe due to stress, or maybe kind of brought up the environment they are brought up, which is more of a social disorder kind of environment. So they imbibe that attitude. So you don't expect them really change overnight. But then if you become a professional, you are guided by the ethics of the profession and the code of conduct, which you need to streamline your actions into that I think that's.
Hello, Dr. Umar, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Technical hitch, network.
Okay, we
So-
have a very important comment made by one of our seniors here, Dr. Ambata. You can see the comment in the chat box. Very
let's
nice
through
comment.
the.
Yes.
I'm just reconnecting. I'm just connecting, so I can't see the comment actually.
The comment says
But you can read out the comments.
Bioethics. Can you hear me?
Help read out the comments.
Okay,
Dr. Ambata, you're welcome. I've noticed that Dr. Ambata has been around. Yes, it's a very senior person, someone I know.
Yes. Bioethics, medical etiquette are essential in medical ethics. Religious and cultural beliefs affect ethics of the states.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, sir. My able doctor, well done for the presentations. You have elaborately explained the management, the leadership, as well as ethics, which are important aspects of managing people and organization. So my concern is just to actually add that it is very essential for us to know that medical etiquette is very important, because even the relationship you have with other professionals is also part of ethics, and it is expected that there should be cordial relationship between physiotherapists and other medical practitioners. Likewise, there should be commensurate relationship between other practitioners and physiotherapists in discharging their responsibilities. By the way, it is very important to know and emphasize what you have digressed, that it simply means the right and wrong in doing things. So we should make sure that our gold standard should be, we should not harm the patient. We should always think of doing good. But nevertheless, if a patient in his own state, like in other countries, has the right to do abortion, for example, religious belief in Nigeria, as well as in the land, has actually contradicts it. So we should know that religious belief has changed some of our constitution to actually rhyme that you don't have the right to actually do abortion and other practices, which is obligational to the land. Thank you very much for your presentation, sir. You are always welcome.
I think that Umar is having a serious technical issue. maybe we need to close, and the second part of the session will take place tomorrow between 8 to 10 p.m., which will be on healthcare financing. So it's going to be tomorrow, Sunday, by 8 to 10 p.m. So we thank everyone for participating and attending, and wishing or hoping to see you tomorrow for the concluding aspect of the session. Thank you all. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.